Joining us on the show at this point from Delhi is Jean-Christophe Babin, the CEO of Bulgari. Great to have you with us, Mr. Babin. It's a pleasure to speak to you here on Aspire.
Thank you. The pleasure is for me.
Mr. Babin, the last time we were speaking to you, it was in Switzerland. I remember talking to you at Basel World, the luxury watch fair, and at that time you were shaping Tag Heuer as a brand, especially in India, where you were in the midst of signing up Shah Rukh Khan as a brand ambassador for Tag Heuer. But now you're heading Bulgari. Tell us about, is this your innate love for India that is making you set up this new store in Delhi? Because we know your fascination for the country. We know you take a lot of vacations over here as well with your family. Tell us what has driven this decision.
Well, love for India is one thing which is very personal because I love art, I love architecture, and I love the country culture. Bulgari in India, conversely, has nothing to see with my personal love for the country. It has to see with a business opportunity. It's a potentially huge market for jewelry especially. Bulgari must be in India.
You know, Mr. Babin, starting 2004 up until just 3 years ago, Bulgari was present in India. So it wasn't very long that we've had the brand in the country. But from then to now, what has really changed? If you can help us understand, put in perspective the departure from India, considering that the brand was hoping to be back.
This time we decided that it was better temporarily to find another solution. So we kept selling the watches through the multi-brand network. We kept obviously selling the fragrance, which is a leading fragrance, and we started to find alternatives, which eventually is what we are today. That is a joint venture, where we own 51% of the joint venture. So we are really steering now directly our business.
At $5.2 billion, the acquisition by LVMH of Bulgari as a brand, that must qualify as one of the highest prices paid for the acquisition of a brand in history. Tell us, in hindsight now, for that kind of money, has this acquisition turned out the way it was imagined for LVMH? Considering that we are in troubled times, really, looking at what's happening in Europe, in Japan, in China as well?
Most acquisitions made by Mr. Arnault have turned into major successes, not only financially, but also in terms of brand reputation. And I've been appointed to Bulgari to ideally replicate what we did with Tag Heuer.
You know, in an interview that I read once in the Wall Street Journal, Nicolas Bulgari had spoken about taking inspiration from India, especially in the way that his grandfather, the founder of Bulgari, had, talking about Indian Maharajas and how they use their gems in their jewelry. In what way do we see Bulgari's recent jewelry creations still taking inspiration from India?
This year we have launched 3 new major collections in Bulgari. One is called Diva in jewelry, one is called Lucia in watches, and the third one is called Musea, like muses, in jewelry. And Musea is a very, very specific jewelry collection. It's both a high jewelry collection of 2014 and a more accessible jewelry. And it's all based on a new cut in terms of precious and semi-precious gem cutting, a new cut which has been inspired by the roof tiles of Rajasthan. So we have indeed an incredible inspiration straight from India, reaching all our boutiques in the world right now in those weeks.
If I remember correctly, the Bulgari Octo All Black series has this hand-painted face which has a Maori tattoo. That's perhaps one of the finest local inspirations that one can actually incorporate. Do you think you could be doing something like that for the Indian market as well?
Well, I mean, jewelry is our #1 focus, so logically it's a category which is growing and will grow faster than the others just because we are putting more creative resources behind it, we are putting more financial resources behind it, we are providing it with more space in our boutiques behind it. So naturally, the jewelry is a driving force in terms of growth for Bulgari. And then next comes ladies' watches, which are kind of natural extension of jewelry for ladies, where we invest a lot.
In fact, as far as jewelry goes, we have a very established market here in India. So it's going to be a real challenge for Bulgari to break into that market. How do you plan to go about that?
One factor which is really a strong growth factor for Bulgari as much as for the other global players, is the evolution of the Indian society. The historical bond between the consumer and the family jeweler is loosening, just because the people now are getting more and more often engaged or wedding in cities which are not necessarily the city where they were born. This obviously is a great opportunity for the local brand, because the local brand becomes the new trusty partner of the consumer.
Overall, Mr. Babin, what's the plan for India now? You've set up this one store in Delhi. That's the first step in the re-entry. But now, what's the expansion going to look like? How are you going to take it ahead?
For boutique, you're right, we are starting with one only. And the ideal would be, obviously, given the number of big cities in India where you have a strong accumulation of wealth and of discretionary purchasing power, to have at least 5 to 10 boutiques in the years to come. But it doesn't depend only on us. It depends a lot on projects, on landlords, and on the capability to have projects which are meeting the requirements of the luxury industry.
Also, just in a nutshell, if you can tell us, Mr. Babin, if you can draw a correlation for us with the way that things are in the Indian luxury market today, your understanding of it, and the kind of investments that you're looking at for Bulgari in India.
Well, we don't have, a roadmap that precise, in the sense that we are committed to India. I think that the flagship we're opening in Emporio says long about our ambition. I mean, we have been waiting 3 years to make sure we got the best potential location. We have been investing a lot of money to import from Italy the best material so that the boutique looks the best and the most luxurious of them all. Since a few days, you can find a lot of advertising with Carla Bruni and our high jewelry in most of newspapers. So we are starting to invest heavily in India. This will be for the long term, and profitability will come out from building first and foremost a strong image, a strong awareness, a strong reputation. Obviously, we will be happy to have it soon. On the other hand, we're operating in 100 countries, so as you can imagine, each country has a different role. So if we can heavily finance India to build a very strong brand, it is because we have some other countries where the brand is very established, generating high profits, which we are using to finance the markets of tomorrow to which India belongs. But we have not fixed a date when India should be profitable.
All right, Mr. Babin, many thanks for joining us.